Good day everyone and welcome to Exile News, the weekly show that brings you all the important news and information on Path of Exile, starting with a brief teaser again for the league that has actually been announced since the GGG Live has happened. So we got all the info and this was a very brief teasers, making us think the main focus of the league was a reworked Abyss. Instead, that actually happened, but it's not the main focus. So also, very briefly, what happens when the Mirage League ends, and the thing is that basically everything just goes down the drain, except Astrolabes and exceptional support gems, which still remains, and Black Barriers, which are probably still a map in some sort of things, we'll see that later. But the thing is, Mirage is not going core in the next league, and I'm very surprised about that. I did expect it to become core, at least as a very random event that you could not influence, and sometimes you will just get this bonus, which I think would have been cool, especially if there was no way to improve it in any way, and just a stroke of luck will get you a Mirage once in a while to let you enjoy your double map. Also, we got in anticipation the changes to the Reliquarian class, or Ascendancy I should say, as it's called in PoE1, and as you might know, this is the only class that changes every league. And you basically have 4 main nodes, which are big choices between unique item effects, as you can see, for example, Calm Root, Elevor. You might recognize those from the unique items, and you either go the downward path or you go to the upward path, and it's a very theory crafting heavy ascendancy. It's all based on specific combinations that you choose beforehand. You go into the game with a specific plan. There's no generic things about those, and you definitely don't start these unless you know what you are doing. Also, right before the actual live stream, we got Twitch drops from the live stream itself, and it's a rare finisher effect. You can see it is these green crystals looking very much like an after death effect, which is why most people don't use these types of microtransactions. Anyway, we got the full reveal, and the page this time is much smaller than usual. There's also no news outlets, which is pretty interesting. I don't feel they added anything, honestly, so maybe GG is trying out how that works out for them. Still, we got a small trailer, don't really care about that. You should watch the content reveal if you haven't done so yet. There is also the Q&A at the end, but it's not needed. The content reveal is definitely what you want to look at. We are instead going to take a look at the announcement page, which is basically a condensed page about all the informations that are in the trailer. And you can see the countdown here till the start of the league, that is next week, actually the upcoming Friday. So yeah, definitely get ready for that. Hype's an all-time high. And well, this league is all about meeting this NPC and going to the depth of the sea to try and find some forgotten treasures before others do. And you get these sort of maps, I guess, and you put them into this sort of tank here and go below the sea, and then you kill monsters, do things, and get rewards. Also, after you've done some of those maps, you can fill out a voyage that is a 3x3 square made of those maps, and all of the effects are going to stack up more or less, and you can see they have this kind of grid that you can complete here. And you can find, of course, new treasures and other things at the bottom of the sea, like this new unique shield, for example, giving a new unique skills Savage Barnacle, which we don't know how it works. There's also a new, or kind of new, borrowed, I guess you could say, crafting system where you can add those coins, like these are pretty strong, to these items. And as you can see in the small video here, it splits the item with several different outcomes, and then you can choose one of those. So it's basically crafting on steroids. However, it adds this intangibility mod, which has a chance to actually not generate copies, which means that crafting over a single item over and over gets harder and harder the more you do it, which makes sense. Also, let's remember the thing that our previous league was all fighting. This league is probably a bit more into crafting, as GG tends to alternate those. So yeah, this is definitely one of the things that are happening there. There's also unique kind of maps, I guess you could call them sea maps, whatever they are. And as you can see here, this one contains Kishara's Rest, probably Kishara, which is, I'm going to guess, this boss here, and that looks pretty damn cool. Again, with unique item drops, as always, like this new unique flask. Also, we got a return for the mercenaries. This was not really expected, to be honest. However, to balance them, they will last for a couple maps, maybe one, maybe two, depending on how you do it. And the thing is, there is actually, much to the surprise of everyone, a new ascendancy class for the Scion that's called the Luminary, whose first node is you can hire a mercenary permanently. So this is definitely a massive one, and then you can go either your mercenary protects you and maybe an aura bot, increasing their aura, taking damage from them before you, or the opposite, as in you are their aura bot, and you can improve the effects of link skills, you can reduce the cost of link skills, and you can also give them unique items. And well, you can choose which one you can give them, also increasing their damage depending on how many you've equipped. You can actually take in and out of them the items, unlike how it was in the past. So that is definitely something of an improvement. And yeah, this is definitely a massive ascendancy, especially if you're starting Scion and wanted to do other builds which don't really give you anything at the first lab. You can actually get these and then respec later on, which should make your leveling much better overall. Also, as we said, Abyss has been reworked and now works exactly how it does in PoE2 with its own endgame boss. Here it's probably a pinnacle one. The thing is that it's just a PoE2 reskinned boss, you might have recognized it. Still, Abyss working like PoE2 is much better, meaning you do not have to chase a crack through a map, sometimes backwards. The Abyss stays there until you clear it. You can go there right away, you can just go there afterwards. Doesn't matter, it's much better. And yeah, I'm definitely going Abyss first as my favorite choice of league, which is also my favorite choice in PoE2 as well. And also we got an improved Legion, which is kind of cool. Legion definitely needing something there, although it would probably be needed to be a mechanical change. What we got is a much needed power increase in what you can get in there. So what you can do is drop these enshrouding crystals, and then in the 5 ways, which is kind of different now, you can kind of improve these unique items, and you can transport unique mods from one item to another. As you can see, this Chevron Space has a 25% chance to gain a power charge on crit as an implicit mod, which normally it wouldn't have. So yeah, this is something that's happening for Legion, and this is definitely going to be very big. This is definitely going to generate some chase uniques throughout the game. Also, we got Atlas Anomalies, which are kind of special maps that appears on the Atlas. They are not charted normally, and you can get some things like Kadir Operandus selling you things, Mysterious Traders, fully revealed Heist Blueprint Wings. These things are kind of crazy. Also, it looks like the Black Barrier was moved in there as well. And you get those when you complete maps that are affected by a Void Stone. So that would be interesting to see where, in which quadrants stuff happens, because it's not obvious, and as always GGG kinda hides the rules for these specific things so that players may discover them afterwards. And here we come to one of the biggest changes that GG has ever done since the start of this game, I feel like, and it's the rework of colors on the sockets. So now, as you can see from this 6 socketed and linked item here, all the sockets are on the gray, which is basically the white sockets down here. You can see there are 2 sockets, these are white sockets. And on a base, all items drop with white sockets. Chromatic Orbs actually colors the sockets, and what happens is you can socket any color gem into any color socket, it does not matter, you can get a red gem in a green socket, a red gem in a white socket, or of course a red gem in a red socket. If you socket the correct color gem with the correct color socket, you get, as you can see here, a plus 10% quality from the socket color. So that is really interesting. That really changes, especially in the leveling part, because there's no more problems about not having the correct socket colors, as you can socket any gem into any color whatsoever. This is definitely changing how it works. Also, there's a very subtle art change where you can see that the gem socket correctly in its own color has a better border on the upper part. It's more like a drop shape rather than the gem that's not in the correct color here. It's very subtle, but I mean, GGG loves these kind of things. There's also been some rebalances to spellcasters, improvements to the Assassin, Inquisitor and Occultist sentences, as well as improvements to most self-casted spells. Lightning is a bit of an outlier. I mean, they reduced very slightly the cast speed, but increased the mana cost by quite a lot. However, fire spells now have much less mana cost and increased damage, while ice spells have better crit, as well as physical or shadow themed spells have higher damage and better crit as well. So that is definitely something to be seen how it works out. However, it looks pretty good. That's definitely also better than before. And there's new spellcaster skills like this mana infused stuff. It's a reservation aura granting block and less mana cost of skills, which is massive both for casters and for melee builds of the sort. There's also these new packed exceptional skills, which we'll have to see how they go, but they empower several casts of specific spells. However, they give you a debuff, so we'll see if this kind of strength with a downside thing is going to be liked by players, or everyone will just have to run this because the borrowed power is way too strong. Hopefully it works out, but we'll see about that. There's also new supporter packs. If you want to support GGG, this is definitely the time, as those packs are the best way that you can spend your money. You get the pack and you get the amount of money worth in points as well. And in conclusion, just like PoE2, we also got the PoE1 race qualifier event. It's a race to kill Kitava in Act 5 in a solo, self-found, standard, fixed seed environment. Not hardcore, but it has a 2.5 minute period of downtime if you die. So that is going to be massive if you're running for the top spots. And there's 4 qualifiers, they are happening all on September, and honestly that's for the top 0.001% of players. Everyone else can just watch those races because they don't last too long, just being Act 5 Kitava, and they are pretty interesting, where you might learn a thing or two for your own leveling. Of course, the winners will get flown to Auckland to actually participate in the Path of Exile 1 event on the main stage. That's going to be the main race happening at ExileCon this year. So that is definitely really cool. And next week the league starts, so definitely get your build ready for that. And this was all for this week. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment down below. Also, if you want to remain updated every week, be sure to subscribe to my channel. So that was all. I've been your host Giorgio, and I'll see you guys the next time.